fellow riders. Warm welcome to Horse Talk, where we are going to talk about separation anxiety and how you can solve it. Because if your horse is sometimes unpredictable, spooking, or behaving differently when in new environments versus when at home, it could very well be that your horse has separation anxiety. And as it is, I am now actually training a horse with severe separation anxiety. And this is basically his last hope. Yes, because several trainers have tried to train this horse without any success. And there could be different reasons for this. I think one of the reasons is that the other trainers haven't noticed his behavior problems as separation anxiety. They have just noticed the problems and then tried to fix them right away, which has resulted in many unfortunate incidents. Yes. So he's now here in training, and I thought I'd share with you exactly what I'm doing to solve his separation anxiety so that you can do the same with your horse. Because this is actually a quite common problem, and I see this a lot, especially in horses that are advertised for sale. It's like, oh, I have a brilliant horse for sale, and he's been doing competitions and trail rides and whatnot. The only thing you need to be aware of is that he doesn't like going on trails alone. But other than that, he's completely safe and anyone can ride him. This obviously isn't safe, because if your horse is depending on other horses to be calm, and you are basically riding out on a trail ride with one other horse, and that horse freaks out and runs home, what's your horse going to do? Probably exactly the same. So we can't have a horse who depends on other horses for calmness. It just becomes very dangerous, because there are times when we need that horse to be capable of being on his or her own. For instance, when going to the vet, or with the farrier, or when going to a clinic or a show, or when going on a trail ride alone. So I would say a horse who isn't capable of being on its own isn't safe. But I'm not, of course, saying that horses should be kept alone. That's not what I mean. I mean that, it's advisable to keep horses in herds and allow them to be herd animals, but it's also very advisable to make sure that a horse can be on its own without the other horses around. Yes, because what I feel is that sometimes a horse has problems, and the problem isn't necessarily the problem. The problem is very often rooted in separation anxiety. And it's not about the horse, behaving bad or showing these behaviors like being unpredictable, throwing the rider, or running people down, and suddenly, freaking out and doing, you know, inconvenient stuff that is also dangerous. This is because the separation anxiety kicks in, and the people handling and riding and training the horse aren't necessarily aware that this is what's happening. So they are then trying to, discipline the horse, or, solve the symptoms without solving the root case of the problem, which very often is separation anxiety. And solving separation anxiety is actually super easy to do. And you don't need to be quick and clever, or do lots of training to do it. Because when taking this horse in training, I have actually done very little training with him. He is basically training himself. But I've done a couple of key things, and I thought I'd share them with you. So on the first day of training, I moved him away from the hay, because my horses, some of the herd is out in the outback and the others are by the stable and eating hay. So I basically moved him away from the free access hay with a flag. And upon waving the flag, I had heard that he was very scared of flags. And I use a flag in training, so I want the horses to be able to understand what the flag means. So he was eating his hay there, and I was waving the flag, which made him come closer and become anxious. So I was waving the flag, and he was coming closer and closer and more high-necked, and he was basically being scared of the flag while running towards it, which is the exact opposite reaction you want. Because if you're going to use a flag when training your horse, you want your horse to, understand that the flag means move away. So I waved the flag quite a bit until he then turned around and walked towards the stable with the other horses. So that was basically what I did that day, which was then followed by some approach and retreat. I just wanted to approach him in the paddock and, be able to, in a way, catch him without catching him. So by doing that, I think he noticed that I wasn't there to capture him or do anything in particular, and that he was kind of allowed to walk away when he wanted to. Yeah, so I did some approach and retreat with him. Yes, and the second day I moved him away from the hay again with the flag, and now he responded well to the flag. And after that I stood with him until he yawned in the paddock, which requires maybe some patience, but it doesn't require lots of horse training skills. And then after that I did this same thing every day. I moved him from the hay into the paddock, and then I did something that I call the connection exercise, which is basically a way of leading your horse in a way that makes your horse kind of follow you and pay attention to you while being relaxed. So I did the connection exercise on the left side, and then I did the connection exercise on the right side, and then I did the connection exercise on both sides. And after doing this 1, 2, 3, 4 times, I then brought him into the stable and gave him hay and allowed him to be alone in the stable for about an hour eating hay. And before he became anxious, I put him out to the others. And then I basically repeated this. So 1 hour was then 2 hours, was then 3 hours, and eventually he could then spend the whole night in the stable alone without being together with the other horses. So this is something I think anyone can do. And I think the important thing is that we can't really address separation anxiety by starting to train the horse. We need actually to help the horse find confidence and relaxation on its own feet when together with us and when a little bit away from the other horses first. So we need kind of a starting point. And we don't necessarily get that starting point by moving the horse left and right and trying to teach the horse something new. We need to basically just communicate with them and help them find relaxation, so that the horse is then relaxed when entering the stable and stays relaxed while in the stable, and basically not put the horse together with the other horses if the horse becomes anxious. Yes, I think that's a key thing here. So if upon my first attempt to put him in the stable for 1 hour and have him eating hay there alone, if he had become anxious, I would not have in some rush tried to then put other horses together with him in the stable to calm him down, or in some kind of rush put him out with the other horses to calm him down. I would then have done the connection exercise to get him calm again before uniting him with the other horses. Because the reason horses get separation anxiety is that they are anxious when reunited with other horses, and the other horses becomes the reason they find calmness. So you just basically want to break that pattern, which is what the connection exercise does. Yes, so If you have a horse that has some kind of unpredictable behavior and is anxious and is insecure when on his own or her own, you can now actually get free access to the connection exercise, which is what I'm doing with this particular horse. And actually the only thing I've done with him. So I haven't been quick and clever or done some complicated training. This is actually very simple, but not necessarily easy. Yes, so if you think your horse needs this, so that you can both prevent separation anxiety and solve it, so that your horse is comfortable also when away from other horses, then you can comment yes below and I will send you the free training on DM. Because if you are selling your horse and you now have this ad out that your horse can't be ridden alone, you can just do the connection exercise and solve it so that your horse can be ridden alone, which will then obviously also maybe give a higher price for your horse. Or if you have some problems with your horse that you don't know the source of, it could very well be separation anxiety, and the only thing you need to do is do the connection exercise and practice so that your horse finds confidence also when alone. Yes, so I hope to see you there, and thank you so much for joining this evening. And if you want the free training, then comment yes and I will send it to you, and I know it can help your horse too and that you can actually solve this. You are probably the best person to solve it, by the way. Yes, so you can solve it at home in an environment your horse is already familiar with. And you can do this. Yes, I know you can. And thank you so much for watching and hope to see you there. Okay, bye for now.